so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me who you are, and tell me about your car. What type of car do you have?
Okay, I am Gwendolyn Gay. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here because not too many places let me just chat about my car, right? Especially as a woman. So this is really exciting. I'm glad to be here. I am Gwendolyn Gay. I am a television and YouTube host. I hosted a large tech channel out in California, and I can't wait to tell you about a repair that I've done on my car. Um, and I am also a content creation strategist and coach, and I help people with content. But so I do work from home. So I'm not like using my car all the time, but I do, go to the grocery store. I do mostly local things, except for I did recently take my truck all the way to California and back, which was quite an epic trip. Only it took us 6 days. So I have a Chevy Silverado and I am 5'1", so I look really silly climbing into my truck, but I love it. It makes me feel really big.
I know that feeling. I do used to have a truck as well, so I know that feeling.
I love it. Yeah.
And have you ever felt like discouraged with your car before, in this trip that you had in California? You ever had like any moment like that?
Yeah. So the trip to California was actually, I feel so blessed. There was no problems at all. But of course, yes, I've had many situations where I felt like this is out of my depth. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. What is that noise? Right. Like, there's always something. What is that noise? Why is this clicking? Why is that, like, and you feel like you have to call an expert. Right. And sometimes I hate that because I do feel like I have to put on this air in a mechanic shop where I'm like, like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I want to look like don't mess with me.
I
So I'm always terrified by that. So yeah, there were times when I was like on the side of the road with a flat tire, and I was very lucky to be in a family with all girls, and my dad took it very seriously in teaching us how to change tires and things like that, just normal car maintenance. But he was always close by, so I didn't have to worry. Like I knew it, but I didn't actually have to do it. And then he passed away when I was 22, so I was just getting out of college. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I got it. I mean, I know the concept, but now I actually have to be the one to do it.
apply it.
And that's what started my journey of like feeling like, okay, I got to take this seriously. This is on me. I've got to be able to do these things on my own.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And what about when you have to actually already have that situation and you have to step in and go to the repair shop? Have you ever had that feeling intimidated just because you don't understand the language they were talking about, or how you felt in that position?
absolutely. And I think that was a little worse when I was younger, and I've learned some lingo now, especially because we are a one car family, so I don't have to learn the lingo of both my cars or what filter is right or whatever. But I have had an experience of actually my most recent oil change. I took the truck in for an oil change, and my husband had done the oil change before. So his name was on, the account, I guess. And they kept referring to the truck as my husband's truck. And when he comes back, does he want this? Do you think he's going to want this filter? And I'm like, no, 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 guys, it's my truck too. Like, this is my car. And they had a really hard time handling the fact that I was also the owner of this this vehicle. And so that always inspired. Every time I have something like that, I do my research, and I do a little Google search, and like, what's the best oil for my truck? What's the best, so that I know, and I come in with a little more confidence. So I think I wasn't like that when I was younger, and I definitely was looked down to, with my oil changes and stuff. People ask, is this what your dad wants, or is this what your husband wants? And I live in the South, and that was just very common. And I took it upon myself to do my research, and I do that a lot more now than I did before. But I think that helps because I feel like I'm walking into a situation where I might be taken advantage of, but it's going to be very slim because the mechanics realize that, oh, hey, she's not someone that we can just mess around with, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and that I think that's the thing. Once you show up like with confidence, they would notice that. And if, like you're saying, you are doing your job, you're doing that research, you're doing what you have to do, because it's a lot of times when they see a girl show up in the shop, they just see like, oh, okay, I can sell whatever I want, and I just hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not opposed to being seen, like people showing me my filter and saying, "Yeah, this is dirty." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, that is." Like that's fine, but knowing when they're definitely pushing a premium that I don't need and my truck doesn't necessarily need because they think that I'm just doing the oil change for my husband.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's so bad. And have you ever felt like empowered with your card? That's something that you said, oh, I did this by myself and I really
Oh
did
my
it.
goodness. Yes. Okay, so like I said, we are a one car family. We've had before the truck, we had a Kia Optima, and the Kia Optima was a great car for us. I loved it. But at one point, the light, there was like a sensor that was off, and so the door open sign, like it always the car told me all the time that the door was open, and then the lights would stay on even when I was driving because it thought the door was open.
Mhm.
And so I like I said, I have a background in repair, but it's electronic repair, like really tiny screws. And yes, they're expensive things, but they're like $400 expensive, not like $20,000 expensive, right? So like I felt like I should not do anything that came to my car. But I was curious and I was like, I lived with this problem for almost a year. That's the sad part is like this went on for a while and I didn't want to take it in because I knew that they were going to tell me it was something really expensive or I would basically be paying for the labor or whatever. So I did my research and I went into a couple of forums and stuff and I asked, what could this be? And I came up with three possible answers and one of them was that maybe something got into the door. Because like the door has several parts, so you'd have to take it apart and clean it.
Yeah.
And that's very possible that maybe coffee went down there or something. Um, but that would have been really invasive. It would have been free, but it would have been a lot of work to fix. The other option is it could have been the door sensor, is just like the door sensor was wrong. And I didn't even, okay, this is another thing. I didn't even know what a door sensor looked like or where it was in the car or anything like that. So when I researched that, it was a $14 part. And I was like, okay, that's something that I might, and it was one screw. So I was like, okay, hoping it's that. And then the other option was something much greater and thousands of dollars to fix. And so I started to do my research. After I did my research, I bought the $14 part and I bought the cleaning supplies, hoping that it was one of those things. So I was going to start with the easiest thing, which was the door sensor. And I take the one screw off, replace the door sensor and screw it back on. And then like it worked. And I was on cloud nine for probably weeks because I lived with this for a year and it was that simple. It was so simple. I just went to an auto parts store, bought the sensor, like I told them what my car was. And I had had to borrow a screwdriver because mine are so tiny for electronic repair. So like I got my screwdriver, I did it and it worked. And I was like, my husband didn't do it. I did it. I didn't have to
Yay.
pay someone for a $14 part and then pay them $50 an hour for the job. So I felt like I owned it at that point. Like it's my car because I know how to fix these things, and
That's
so I felt
so
really empowered. And I did it. I did a video because I'm a host, a YouTube host. So there is a video out there of me testing out these things.
Oh, how cool. We have to look, I mean, watch that video. I mean, but just the fact that you actually did your research, you went and find out, okay, this is an easy thing. I mean, I can do it. I mean, no, I don't need my husband to come and tell me how to take off that screw and do it myself. And that's so empowering.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like in reality, in today's world, and the way most men's jobs are not mechanics or even handy in any way. So like he would have had to do the exact same thing. He would have had to do all the research and learn the whole thing and like what part it was. So, you know, we start at the same place with our car. Neither of us know anything about cars. So it's not one person's job, right? It's like if I want to fix this problem, I can do it.
Yeah, and I love that because sometimes we think, oh no, this is just a man thing. He's the one who have to fix it. Or let me call my dad, my husband, or even my neighbor. But I love that you actually took that step to say, no, I can do it too. I mean, it's not just for men. This is something that I can do too. So I love that.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned something that you've been in an electronic kind of world. Let
Mhm.
me ask you this: how do you it's the same kind of thing like in the auto industry? This auto industry sometimes is like men dominated thing, but what about that side? I mean, I just want to see that perspective. How do you felt in that time when you were working like that?
Yeah. So that was interesting transition for me. So like I said, I come from a public speaking background. I come from a hosting background. But that audience was very different. And I had to grow a really thick skin. When it came to showing up as an authority figure or a teacher in some way, showing people how to do electronic repair, because it was mostly men consuming the content and not all of them wanted to learn from a woman or even considered that a woman knew what she was talking about when it came to electronic repair. And 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 honestly, so that part was hard, but there were so many other people, plenty more, that were super supportive about it and loved hearing from me. And I think that I disarmed them in a way, because if I can do it, looking like I do, then they felt empowered to do it too. So it was a way for bringing other women into electronic repair, and also helping the men who, like I said, not a lot of men are super handy nowadays. Like it's not this innate thing that fathers teach their sons anymore. And so it's kind of like now the world is open for everybody, but not all men are interested in that. So having someone who looks like you, like a woman, or someone who is a little more inviting and less intimidating when it comes to teaching things like electronic repair or car repair or anything like that that's male dominated, is helping the whole world to be more inclusive with these things. So it was a hard transition at first. I just had to get a thick skin, but then realized that there are so many more people who wanted to learn from me, so I couldn't let that hold me back. The fear of someone saying you're not good enough because you're a woman or whatever, or go make me a sandwich. I got that comment all the time. um, which
Oh,
is really sad. But if that held me back, then there were so many other people who wouldn't have learned and felt empowered to open their phones. So it was worth it to me to risk those few negative comments to just put myself out there and help a lot of people with electronic repair.
yeah, and I love that because, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of men dominated industries. Like, I mean, auto repair or auto industry is one of them. And I just love to hear this story because nowadays, like you said, there's not more like, oh, the fathers are teaching their kids. And mostly when there are boys, they teach them. But when they're girls, they think, no, no, this is not a girl thing. And when it comes to this point, I mean, there's a lot of women or ladies out there that they don't know much about cars, but when they see someone like them, a woman teaching, like you said, it's so empowered. I mean, just to hear them talk like that. So I love your story. So now tell me, what advice will you give to any lady, girl, woman out there that is listening to us right now? Any advice that you can give them?
Yeah. So being here and listening to this podcast is a great start. And for me, it was finding other women like you. And I'm so glad that I found your community and know your community, because it's so empowering and supportive. Like, I don't feel bad about asking a question. When didn't have your community didn't exist yet, when I was fixing my door, and I was obviously a woman in those forums, and they knew it, and they talked down to me just for asking a question. And I love that I have a place now to go and ask those questions. So finding a community that's supportive, and you don't have to be good at repair in any way. You don't have to be into cars, or like, I don't know. What are people who are into cars called? Like, I don't know.
They don't need
I
to
don't
be a
know.
car savvy, or they don't need to be actually a
No,
mechanic
yeah.
to
You
learn
don't
a little
have
bit.
to even want to know everything about your car. It's really that it having that empowerment and feeling like you have a space where you can safely ask a question and not feel dumb for asking those questions, is really important. So I would start there, but also if you don't know something, that's on you. So if you want to know something in the world today, with YouTube and with forums and with places like Ladies Car Care Community, like there's no reason you shouldn't know something at this point if you want to know it, right? So ask the questions, be curious about your car, and take the step of the knowledge is what's going to give you the most confidence when you come into a mechanic, or possibly fixing something yourself and saving a ton of money, and then feeling the best part to me was not saving the money. It was feeling empowered that I could fix something myself in my car.
Yeah,
Not mess it up, which was great.
yeah, I mean, I love that because a lot of times we're even are afraid to ask questions just because we know how they're gonna respond to us. But that's one of the things that here in Ladies Car Care we always say to our community: don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, you have the right to ask questions. If you don't know it, just ask. Don't be afraid to ask. So I love that you're saying that. And well, last question, but this one is a fun question. We are here
Okay.
just to have fun, and just it's a casual talk. So tell me about your dream car. When you were a little girl, have you ever dreamed of having that car? What car was that one that you
You know
always
what's hilarious, because I have a Chevy Silverado now. My dream car is a Mini.
really?
I mean, now it's more because I have kids. It's like, more of an SUV. If we got a second car, obviously our truck is totally fine for now. But if we got a second car, it would be like an SUV mom car, or, probably not a van because we only have 2 kids. But so, your dream cars change. I don't know if I can fit a car seat in a in a Mini. But that was always my dream car when I was like growing up. My first car is like so far from it. I had a Subaru GL10, and it had no dashboard light, so I had to use a flashlight.
That's so funny.
So I was always dreaming of that shiny, fancy new European car, my little Mini. So yeah, that's my dream car, which is hilarious because I drive a massive truck now.
That's funny. Yeah, if you see it, I mean, that was a tiny car and now you have a big car. Well,
Yeah.
dreams always change. That's valid. So I love that. Well, thank you, Gwen, for being with us today. I really love and enjoy your conversation. I really enjoyed. There's something that you want to say, like last words that you want to say?
Just making sure that if you're a woman and you want to feel empowered with your car and not rely on the men around you, then, be a part of a community like this, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because I'm in the community now, which is really exciting. So I try to help out when I can, especially if someone has a question about door sensors. Now I know.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for being here. And I hope that this conversation was helpful for someone out there that is listening. So, see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies Car Care Talk Show. For more resources from Cindy, or to join the Ladies Car Care Facebook community, you can follow the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and share with your friends.